Hello all, and welcome to my 15th water review for YouTube. Today is Friday, May 11th, and today I'll be reviewing a very popular water, probably one of the biggest bottled water companies in the world. This week, I will be reviewing Nestle Pure Life. Now, Nestle is a Swiss company. They are a multinational food and beverage conglomerate with approximately $92 billion of sales in 2016. Of those $92 billion of sales, $7.5 billion were from the sale of bottled water. So an extremely popular water brand. Now, when I'm doing my research, I typically start with a Google search, just the name of the bottled water, to see what I get. Usually I get their website, some reviews, some articles about the company, all of that in general. The third link, when I googled Nestle Pure Life, was a question. The question, is Nestle Pure Life safe to drink? That's the water we're dealing with here today, folks. Is Nestle Pure Life safe to drink? Once I got on their website, I was very surprised. Not in a good way, but in kind of a joking and bad way overall. There were 4 tabs. The first one was about this water. Now, normally on websites about water, when they do about this water, they talk about the source, they talk about the research and the history of the source, and just general bottling techniques that they use, stuff like, nope. Nestle just had a diagram talking about how they recycle their water bottles. They also had 2 sentences where they talked about how their processes of bottling are the highest quality. Nothing else. Just 2 sentences and a diagram of how they recycle their bottles. When I looked one tab over, there was another tab called Hydration. On the Hydration tab was this diagram of a rather shocked man, probably because he just drank Nestle Pure Life. They also have a few signs of dehydration for you to watch out for. The number 1 sign of dehydration, a feeling of thirst in your mouth. That's actually what they put on here. You feel thirsty. What's even better is number 6 on the list of signs, which is few or no tears when crying. I guess Nestle expects that you'll be crying enough throughout your day to determine your hydration. Or maybe they want to use it as a test. After you're done drinking Nestle Pure Life, you cry because of how terrible it is, but you know how hydrated you are. Speaking of crying, this bottle makes me tear up a bit inside. The terrible, crinkly plastic, the awful, thin label that I just ripped, it's just terrible. The plastic is thin, the label, they didn't even put the seam on right, like it's not aligned properly, and it's just not a generally very nice looking label. Like some of the Italian waters I've reviewed have had beautiful labels, and the premium waters I've reviewed have had really nice design in the label. This one's just thin and plasticky and only glued on at one point, and this cap is the thinnest, smallest cap I think I've ever seen on a water bottle. They might as well have just put a piece of saran wrap on top. It's that bad. And what was surprising to me, despite how bad this label is, they actually included nutrition facts and a mineral breakdown. Now, what was on the mineral breakdown? Well, it showed that there was a high amount of chlorine, 100 ppm of chlorine, which is the highest I've ever seen in the water. It also had a ton of calcium, a ton of magnesium, which means it's a very hard water. It also had a lot of sodium and sulfate. No lead, though, unlike Flint, Michigan, which still hasn't had clean water since 2014. So we got that on you, Flint, Nestle Pure Life. But the nutrition facts label was so scratched up and scuffed that you can't even read it. That just shows how terrible this label is. Also, some of the controversies surrounding Nestle and their sourcing really hurts their company image. Some of the articles I read talked about how they pay almost no money to pump the water out of a aquifer in Michigan, and how, despite there being a severe drought in one of the towns that they source their water from, they continued to pump out the water from the aquifer. So overall, not great. They do have some environmental stuff. They talk about how they're working on making their bottling plants run off of renewable energy. They talk about how they've reduced the amount of plastic in their bottles, which you can certainly tell. But yeah, not great. Now, on to taste. I feel like with all the minerals that they label on the side, this is going to be interesting. It certainly pours like a water. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's super strong chlorine smell. You get a bit of the kind of salty smell to it, but mostly it's just a very overwhelming chlorine smell, because there is really quite a bit of chlorine in this water. Drinking it is just, it's almost a chore. Like, you have to force yourself to drink this water. It's so soft feeling in your mouth, and it almost leaves a residue around your, like, coating the inside of your mouth. It's, the best way I like to describe it is, it's like it's taken on the taste of, like, plastic, like the terrible bottle it's in. It really just has that kind of plasticky, salty, and just overall really off-putting taste. So I don't understand why it's such a popular water, but yeah, and like a ton of chlorine. Like, it really does give you that feeling that when you like jump into a pool or something and you have your mouth open or something and you get some pool water, it really has that feeling and taste of pool water. It's not great. This is, I think this is going to be a very unsurprising review based on some of the previous waters I've done. So, final score. Not a tough one. Really not a whole lot of interesting stuff to talk about in regards to their company. Nestle's not that interesting. They don't have a great history. A lot of controversies. They do have some environmental initiatives, which was nice to see, but even with those, I'm struggling to give it 1 point out of 2.5 points for interestingness in history. In terms of bottle design, I hold no reservations giving it a 1 out of 2.5. The bottle is really about as bad as it gets before just putting the water into a bag or pouring it into your hands. The materials are so cheap and poorly put together that it's brutal. Taste, again, probably beyond the fact that it stops you from dying of dehydration, there aren't many great qualities about Nestle Pure Life. The smell is off-putting. the taste is off-putting, and it gives you that feeling of drinking pool water, which normally, you spit out pool water. This makes me want to spit it out. That's how bad it is. Yeah, it's not great, and therefore I struggle again giving it 1 out of 4 points for taste. Value is also a tough one. As far as bottled water goes, Nestle Pure Life is extremely cheap. I'll give them that. This large 1.5 liter bottle I bought wasn't that cheap. It was $1.29 at the grocery store. But at least where I live, you can buy a 24 pack of half-liter bottles of Nestle Pure Life for like $1.88, something like that. Sometimes even cheaper, I've seen. However, my score is based on value, and with just the taste and quality of the water, I don't see it having a great value to it. You're better off just buying a reusable bottle and taking water from your tap. Like if you live in a rural area with a well, that water usually is quite good. Even some city waters aren't too bad, but it's really hard to see Nestle Pure Life as being a good value. So, final score, 3.5 out of 10. It's not the worst score I've done. Cucumber Water gets that award for worst scoring water at 3 points. But Nestle Pure Life, it's not too far off with 3.5 points. It gives me admiration and respect for the other waters I've reviewed, and really just goes to show how bad it really can get. So, I hope you enjoyed my review this week. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Recommend any waters you'd like me to review in the future. Next week is going to be I think it will be really interesting. It's a water from a place probably most of you have never heard of. And so I'm very excited for that one, so tune in next week. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next Friday. Thanks for watching.